Well, g'day. I've managed to squeeze a few minutes out of my free period because I did a really enjoyable classroom activity. I thought, you know what, I'm going to share that with everybody out there online and with teachers. It's just a brilliant activity that's so simple to do and works really well on a number of different topics. And what it is thinking through, for students, terms or concepts that might be similar to each other and that they sometimes get confused and mixed up by. So for my elective history class, we're looking at different murders throughout history. And I asked them, well, what is murder? How do we define what murder is? And people kept coming up with these ideas of what's the difference between killing and what's the difference between murder and is assassination murder? And so what we ended up doing was using Venn diagrams. It's such a simple concept. I've got a Venn diagram in the background, and they don't have to be just two things. I used the three with killing, murder, and assassination. But it was a really helpful exercise for students to go and research and think about and discuss with their partner and decide and clearly kind of delineate between what defines murder, what defines killing, where are they similar, and to adding this kind of extra element in there with assassination. They really enjoyed it and argued about it, and we had all these scenarios and things like, in war, are you killing the enemy? But if they throw their guns down and they surrender, it becomes murder because it's against the rules of war. And what if someone was to, etc., etc. So I know it sounds like a lot of death and killing. You don't have to do that for that example. There are plenty of things in history, in legal studies, where definitions, because we're seeing and we're thinking about nuance, where different concepts overlap. And often that's where students struggle. So having a Venn diagram and getting students to really think about what is similar about these two concepts, what's different, what differentiates them from other similar concepts, and you can have, you could go even more complicated. You could have 4 or 5 different concepts there, and that's really going to extend many students. Or you can have simple and just 2 and get them to think through what's similar about these things, what's different. It doesn't just have to be concepts. You can look at different political parties and how they're similar and different, or different conflicts and compare and contrast World War I and World War II, or Australia's role in World War I and World War II, and use Venn diagrams. So it's an easy pen and paper activity that students can think about, and you can make it as simple or as complicated and complex as you want. But I found it really engaged my kids, and they really enjoyed trying to find where does this fit in and where does that, and getting to the kind of the nitty-gritty. And so it allowed lots of discussion, and it allowed lots of students the opportunity to voice their opinion, first in partners and then in a class dialogue. So I thought I'd share that with you. Feel free to go for it. Comment below if you have any questions about that. But don't forget the humble Venn diagram if you're thinking through concepts, comparing and contrasting, and defining things in class.